Level 1. Temptation. You were tired before anything began. Not just annoyed or bothered, tired in a way that tightens your chest when you think about next month's rent. Tired in a way that makes the idea of soft life feel like oxygen. You've been scrimping. You've been saying no to nights out because the bus fare felt like a luxury. You've been promising yourself later while your friends posted flight photos. Then, an offhand comment changed everything. A friend, laughing at a drink, mentions how her rent is covered. She waves it off like it's nothing, like she's describing a side effect. It's just company for compensation, she says, and the phrase lands in your head like a seed. Not a plan, not even a decision, just a possibility. You start to look closer. You click into the lives of girls who seem to float above struggle. You notice how they always hit the same cafes, how their photos are always just a little too pristine. You ask questions. You get answers that sound casual. It doesn't sound like prostitution. It sounds like opportunity. It sounds polite. It sounds like something other people do with no consequence. Then he notices you. He's older. He owns things, houses, companies, rooms that smell of money. He's patient, polite. He says he admires you. Maybe he says he likes your laugh. Maybe he says he wants to support your dreams. The words feel harmless. The way he offers feels like safety. And in your account, a number appears. Not huge, not life-changing, enough to make your worries hush for a week, enough to make your heart do a small, unfamiliar flip. You tell yourself you're in control. You tell yourself it's not a plan, just help, just relief, just a break. But that first deposit is a doorbell. Once it rings, people start coming. Transition. You answer that door. The next thing you know, you're leveling up. Level 2. Soft launch. At first, it's gradual. You don't switch lives overnight. You let the easy things in slowly. Hair done, a spa day, a dress that doesn't come with 6 months of guilt. He calls it treating you. You call it survival. You start choosing differently. You stop shopping at discount stores. You take trips to parts of the city where velvet and piano music exist. You meet new friends who wear nights like armor and who ask simple questions like, "Who's taking care of you?" without judgment. You say, "Someone who appreciates me," and means something more complicated. You learn small strategies without naming them, how long to wait before answering a message, how to be present without being available, which laughs to give and when. You learn to keep secrets even from yourself. You learn how to shape your moods to create demand. You learn that scarcity increases value. This life gives you things you thought were only for movies, but it also teaches you to perform. You stand in front of the mirror and rehearse your face, practice the soft laugh, practice the bored smile, become exactly the version of yourself he finds irresistible. You're not just improving, you're optimizing. People assume this is freedom. They see the profile photos and think you've escaped. They don't see the backstage adjustments. They don't see the spreadsheets of feelings you keep in your head. Transition. But other actors are always watching, and they want your role. Level 3. The competition era. Once you taste comfort, you become part of a silent market. You begin to notice the pattern. Another girl with the same purse, another caption about blessed, another hotel review with identical selfies. It's like walking into a room and noticing the same dress reflected in a dozen mirrors. You become competitive without meaning to, not because you're mean, not because you enjoy the fight, but because replacement is real. Every sponsor has options. Every wealthy admirer has a string of names in his phone. Every dinner conversation could include the words, "She's my favorite, for now." You sharpen your edges. You start curating not just your look, but your story. You become a brand. You post selected moments, candid but not careless. You learn which photos stir desire and which make someone feel secure enough to open his wallet again. You also hear rumors, whispers about men asking girls to sign things, contracts that aren't called contracts, NDAs that keep certain nights private. Some people say it's for privacy, others say it's about power. You don't sign anything yet, but you make notes. You learn to read tone more than text. And then jealousy becomes a background hum. You find yourself comparing Comparing followers, comparing hotel rooms, comparing the way someone else laughs at a joke your sponsor tells. You start measuring your worth against other women's highlight reels. That itch of comparison is corrosive. It makes you try more. It makes you perform differently. It makes you stretch the truth about who you are until the seams strain. Transition. Then the first withdrawal arrives.
Level 4. The replacement scare. It always comes like a weather change, subtle, then sudden. At first, you notice small things, a late reply, a canceled brunch, a smaller transfer. He says he's busy. He says it's a phase. He says not to worry. You do worry. You check your bank balance at odd hours. You ask yourself which of your bills would go unpaid first. You wonder if you're being irrational or if you're reading a map only you can see. Panic feels private. You don't call friends. You don't say the words, "I'm scared." You smile and post a photo of yourself in a dress and feel the way an actor might, comfortable with the role no matter the script. You start looking for backups, not because you want to, because you need options. You reconnect with people you hadn't spoken to in months. You accept dinner offers you would once have declined. You sit across from men and measure them like you measure outfits, for utility and fit. The replacement scare accelerates certain choices. You begin hedging bets. You date with contracts in mind. You treat affection like a potential income stream. The more you hedge, the more you internalize the logic that makes this life possible. It's survival disguised as strategy. Transition. Survival becomes armor, but armor gets heavy. Level 5. Emotional numbness. The numbness doesn't arrive with fanfare. It sneaks in between nights out and payments. It settles into your chest like a quiet fog. You stop expecting to feel surprised. Compliments become formulas. Gifts become line items. Conversations become negotiations. You ask yourself less and less what you want. You start asking what is efficient. You stop telling people things that could complicate utility. You stop introducing vulnerability. You stop letting anyone see the messy parts, because messiness is a liability. Dating without agenda feels naive now. Romance feels inefficient. You can't help but calculate the cost of a smile. This works until it doesn't. Because humans are not spreadsheets. Emotions leak. Regret slips in where you least expect it. When a song plays on a late-night drive, or when you see someone who looks like a younger version of yourself. In those moments, you remember who you were before the game. The memories feel foreign and intimate at the same time. You try to reconcile the two versions of you. One pays bills with beauty and presence. The other pays bills with a 9-to-5 and rent receipts. Each feels necessary. Neither feels whole. Transition. The trap closes slowest at the edges. Level 6. The trap. This level is less dramatic than it sounds. There's no ghastly reveal, no dramatic arrest, just a slow narrowing. You realize you can't easily return to the life you left. The jobs you once considered now seem humiliating. The hours and the pay feel insulting. You see yourself in a new mirror, older, more polished, but also more brittle. People treat you differently. Strangers assume you're used to finer things. Old friends act like your past efforts were quaint. You're invited to rooms you don't belong in, and when you walk in, you're both admired and judged. You begin to see time as an opponent. Youth becomes currency with an obvious expiration date. You watch younger women enter the same rooms, and you understand the calculus. Age plus appearance equals bargaining position. That math sits heavy on your shoulders. You try to pivot. You post authentic content about side hustles and entrepreneurship. You start a brand. You say you're building my empire. People cheer. Reporters ask for interviews. Speculation starts. Did you bootstrap that business, or was someone backing you quietly? Rumors suggest both. The narrative becomes part of your portfolio. Reputation is sticky. Even after you work hard to change, people will always cast a shadow on your path. Fans will believe in your hustle. Critics will whisper about how your first investor had a different name. Transition. Everything has a price. Now the question is what price you are willing to pay.
Final level, the price. This is where the glamour fades. You gained access. You entered rooms that once intimidated you. You tasted influence. You mastered negotiation, image, and psychology. But you paid for it. You traded privacy for preference, spontaneity for strategy. Slowly, you began measuring your worth in attention and transfers. Now the real questions hit. What is freedom if someone else can withdraw it? What is independence if your stability depends on approval? Was the upgrade worth the strings attached? Some women play this game like chess. They invest, they build, they exit on top. That version exists. But for many, the cycle repeats. New sponsor, new city, same pattern. Comfort becomes a loop. Being chosen feels like being valued, but it isn't the same thing. And one day, the math changes. Younger competition appears. Transfers slow. Rumors whisper. The currency you relied on loses power. Now you must choose. Stay and harden, become sharper, more strategic, less emotional. Or leave and rebuild from scratch. Leaving costs pride, time, luxury. It forces you to rediscover who you are without the perks. But it also gives something back. The ability to like someone without calculating the benefit. The freedom to hear a compliment without pricing it. The peace of knowing your life isn't funded by someone else's mood. So what's freedom to you? Glitter or grit?